If Rome had a voice, she'd probably whisper, "You're still only scratching the surface." Because Rome is roughly divided into three main parts. The ancient part, where you'll find the Colosseum, Roman Forum, Circus Maximus, and the Baths of Caracalla. The Renaissance and Baroque part, featuring iconic piazzas, fountains, and buildings, including Vatican City and St. Peter's Basilica, on the other side of the river. And then there's Trastevere, literally meaning beyond the Tiber, filled with charming villas and Renaissance palaces. We have been focusing on the Renaissance Baroque part of the city over the last 3 episodes. Well, because artists and architects of that era didn't just build for beauty. Instead, they built for awe. Think of Rome as the original open-air museum, with domes, columns, and fountains that inspired centuries of Western design. And all within walking distance and photogenic as heck. And here's where it gets cooler, because the final form of Renaissance Rome owes much to Pope Sixtus V. And elected in 1585, he had only 5 years in office, but he changed the entire city. Medieval Rome was a bit of a hot mess and the streets were chaotic, aqueducts dry, and malaria was thriving in marshes. Pope Sixtus V hired an architect, Domenico Fontana, to restore ancient Roman aqueducts to pump fresh water into 27 new fountains. He also laid down wide pilgrimage roads to link the 7 major churches. And to guide travelers and locals alike, he placed obelisks at key intersections. And yes, every obelisk still lines up with another one. And you're never lost in Rome, as you're guided by ancient obelisks. After days of Renaissance rooftops, Baroque piazzas, and papal power moves, it's time to peel back the layers. Literally. And today, we go deeper into the bones of ancient Rome. We left Mercati di Traiano and the Museum of the Imperial Forums behind us. And it's already evening and the sky is turning that Roman shade of peach orange, and the ruins are glowing like they're lit from inside. This was the center of it all. And not just of Rome, but of an empire that stretched from Scotland to Syria. The Roman Forum was basically their version of downtown, and everything happened here, from government, religion, justice, and even gossip. Picture senators arguing laws, priests parading sacrifices, and Julius Caesar walking these very stones before someone decided to stab him in the back. For the past 3 episodes, we explored the brilliance of Renaissance and Baroque Rome, where domes soared, fountains gushed, and Pope Sixtus V redrew the city with roads and obelisks. But this is where it all started. As golden hour fades, the ruins become silhouettes, and it's honestly magical. And no filter are needed. This part of Rome feels quieter with less selfie sticks, and more soul. For now, we are just walking along, while I explain to you more about Rome. But don't worry, we will be back around this area again tomorrow morning, with a private tour guide this time, and we will dive deeper into the most important landmarks of the Roman forums. So, do subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet, and remember to hit that notification bell. The Renaissance popes restored aqueducts, moved obelisks, and literally carved new roads to connect Christian holy sites to ancient landmarks. The Rome we walked through in episodes 1 to 3? Well, that's the Renaissance remix. But what you're looking at now is the original track. We're moving toward the Colosseum, and let me tell you this. Ancient Rome was wild. It was the capital of an empire that ruled over 70 million people. And that's 1 in every 4 humans alive back then. This city ran on a combo of military power, epic architecture, and seriously clever planning. And the Roman Forum was the political engine. Here is something you didn't know about the Colosseum. It was financed by the loot from Emperor Vespasian's conquest of Jerusalem. The Roman army ransacked the Jewish temple, and a significant chunk of that gold funded the construction of the Colosseum. Roman concrete, used for the construction, was mixed with volcanic ash, which made it so durable that parts of it have outlasted modern cement buildings. By the Middle Ages, it became a haven for squatters, small-time merchants, and bandits. In the 18th century, Pope Benedict XIV consecrated the Colosseum as a sacred site, declaring it a memorial to Christian martyrs who were believed to have died there. This helped protect it from further destruction. Fast forward a few centuries, and that powerful engine started sputtering. And the empire got too big to manage, corruption ate into politics, plagues hit, and Rome was invaded over and over again. The Western Roman Empire officially fell in 476 AD. And after that, well, the marble got stripped and temples were repurposed or destroyed. And earthquakes hit. Churches were built on top. And time just kept moving. Alright, it's time for some rest, so let us turn in for the day, and we will pick it back the next morning, where we dive deeper into what is ancient Rome. Today, we are meeting our tour guide here, for a private tour of ancient Rome. So walk with us, and we will tell you all about ancient Rome. We're kicking things off here, beneath the Arch of Constantine, and you're standing in one of the most symbolic crossroads of power, propaganda, and empire. Right behind me is the Arch of Constantine, built in 315 AD. And this political theatre in marble was erected to celebrate Constantine's victory over Maxentius at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. It paved the way for Constantine to become the sole ruler of the Roman Empire and to legalize Christianity, marking the beginning of Christian Rome. The arch is located just next to the Colosseum, or the Flavian Amphitheatre, if you want to impress your friends. Finished in 80 AD under Emperor Titus, it could seat over 50,000 people, maybe more. They came for blood, for gladiator battles, animal hunts, and mock naval battles. Believe it or not, the arena was once flooded, to stage sea fights. Today it is in ruins, because earthquakes hit in the 9th and 14th centuries. And then came the scavengers who took the stones to build palaces, churches, and even St. Peter's Basilica. Okay, let's move on to the Forum, and this is the Temple of Peace, and it sits east of the Roman Forum. This little square, Largo Romolo a Remo, is named after Rome's legendary twin founders, Romulus and Remus. Basilica Aemilia and Basilica Julia weren't churches yet, but were the Roman equivalent of town halls, law courts, and Wall Street, all rolled into one. Curia Julia was ancient Rome's Senate house, rebuilt by Julius Caesar in 44 BCE, and completed by Augustus. And it's surprisingly intact, thanks to centuries of repurposing as a church. Tucked just behind the Curia, this Baroque church honors Saint Luke, patron saint of artists, and Saint Martina, a Roman martyr. Standing tall at the northwestern edge of the Roman Forum, this triple-arched white marble monument was erected in 203 CE, to commemorate Emperor Septimius Severus and his sons, for their victories in the Parthian Wars. The inscriptions on the arch include references to the Senate and the Roman people, acknowledging their support for Severus's campaigns. Tucked just beside the arch is Temple of Concordia, which once stood as a monument to political harmony. Okay, let's keep walking, and this is the legendary she-wolf that, and according to Roman myth, nursed the abandoned twins Romulus and Remus, the mythical founders of Rome. Past the Lupa Capitolina sculpture, we are stepping deeper into one of the most symbolically rich and visually stunning parts of Rome, the Piazza del Campidoglio, perched atop the Capitoline Hill, one of the legendary seven hills of Rome. Continuing our exploration, we walk past the monumental staircase leading to the Basilica of Santa Maria in Araceli. Let's dive into one of Rome's most iconic landmarks, the Vittoriano Palace, also known as the Altar of the Fatherland. The first thing that strikes you is its grandiose scale. And sitting at the eastern end of Piazza Venezia, right in the heart of Rome, the palace towers over the surrounding area, its neoclassical design standing out against the city's skyline. The palace's facade is decorated with rows of Corinthian columns that rise toward the sky, giving it a sense of dignity and grandeur. And the structure is mostly made of white marble, giving it a stark contrast against the surrounding, often warmer-hued Roman buildings. Just standing here, you're greeted by a palpable sense of history, almost like standing in the midst of a piece of Italy's national identity. And the Altar of the Fatherland was built to honor King Victor Emmanuel II, the first king of a unified Italy, and to celebrate the country's liberation and independence. Beneath the statue of Victor Emmanuel II, at the base of the monument, is the eternal flame. And this flame has burned continuously since 1921 and symbolizes Italy's commitment to its unity and the sacrifices made for the country's independence. The flame is specifically dedicated to the unknown soldier, a tribute to the soldiers who died in World War I for Italy's freedom. The flame serves as a poignant reminder of the high cost of national unity. The Vittoriano Palace is a symbol of Italian unity and pride, designed to reflect the values of freedom, sacrifice, and national identity. And it's one of the most photographed monuments in Rome and remains a living testament to Italy's long, rich history and its journey from ancient times to modernity. There is a gigantic statue of Victor Emmanuel II, seated on a massive equestrian statue at the monument's peak, overseeing the city. And it's a modern monument for a modern Italy, bringing together ancient symbols of Rome's past with the new reality of the 19th century Kingdom of Italy. The statue of the horse is positioned at the entrance of the palace, and it represents an impressive combination of artistry and military prowess. To understand why the Vittoriano was built, we need to go back to 19th century Italy, a time when the country was not the unified nation-state we know today. For much of the early modern period, Italy was a patchwork of kingdoms, duchies, and papal territories, with each region having its own rulers and traditions. However, in the mid-1800s, Italian nationalism began to stir, inspired by the broader movement of European unification. And the idea of a unified Italian state emerged. Between 1848 and 1871, Italy underwent the process known as the Resurgence. A series of wars, revolutions, and political changes that led to the unification of the various Italian states into one nation. When Italy finally became a unified state in 1861, the new nation needed symbols to reflect this new identity. Directly in front of you lies one of Rome's most iconic sites, the Roman Forum. From this elevated vantage point, you can see the sprawling ruins of what was once the center of public and political life in ancient Rome. From the top of this monumental structure, perched in the heart of the city, you can experience a 360-degree view of the eternal city that brings both the ancient and modern elements of Rome together. Quick question here. Does anyone know what are these helicopters? From the Vittoriano's top, you can also gaze westward, where the magnificent St. Peter's Basilica dominates the skyline, and the iconic dome of St. Peter's rises high above the rest of the city. Looking north, you can see the Quirinal Hill, home to the Quirinal Palace, which has been the official residence of the President of Italy since 1946. Turning southward, you get a sweeping view of the Capitoline Hill, one of Rome's 7 hills. Inside the Vittoriano, you can find a museum dedicated to Italy's unification. And the museum holds exhibits on Italy's history, particularly focusing on the period of its unification in the 19th century. National Museum of the Risorgimento, and visitors can delve into the museum's collections. As you exit the Vittoriano Palace, the next stop on your journey brings you to a moment of pause in front of the nearby Basilica di Santa Maria in Araceli. You take a moment to admire its majestic facade before climbing the grand staircase leading up to it. But more stunning are the 2 statues of the Castor and Pollux, also known as the Gemini brothers, at Piazza del Campidoglio. The twin brothers Castor and Pollux, sons of Jupiter, were renowned in Roman legend for their bravery and loyalty, often portrayed as protectors of the Roman state. Positioned strategically at the entry to the square, they provide a dramatic welcome to the space and lead your eyes toward the senatorial palace in the center, tying the mythological past with the political power that once reigned here. The piazza is a spot where the myth of Rome becomes its legacy, surrounded by ancient ruins, medieval symbols, and Renaissance art. Just nearby, a small road leads you to Caffarelli Square, a charming, less-traveled spot tucked away from the bustle of the main attractions, offering an unexpected moment of serenity amidst the city's lively energy. Whether you're capturing the romantic ruins of the Forum or the neoclassical buildings that line the hill, Caffarelli Square is a photographer's dream. This quaint piazza offers breathtaking views of the surrounding Roman Forum, with its ancient ruins stretching beneath the shadow of the Palatine Hill. As you stand here, the contrast between the old and the new is striking. The angle of the piazza also provides a perfect frame for photos, with the intricate architecture of the Capitoline Hill around you and the ruins of the Roman Forum as a stunning backdrop. Wow, what a journey we've had today! From the towering arch of Constantine to the ancient stones of the Roman Forum. We've been walking through the heart of ancient Rome. We've explored everything from Roman politics and imperial monuments to hidden spots offering spectacular views of the city's rich past. Along the way, we've delved deep into the stories behind landmarks like the Colosseum, Roman Forum, and Capitoline Hill, learning how the ancient Romans lived, worked, and celebrated. The ruins we've seen might be just fragments of their former selves, but they still whisper the stories of an empire that was unmatched in its grandeur. And as you look out over Rome's skyline, it's easy to feel the weight of its 2,000+ years of history. Ancient Rome isn't just something you read about in books. It's alive and present, embedded in the very fabric of the city. As we wrap up today's exploration, we find ourselves back at Piazza del Campidoglio, standing at the very heart of Rome's past and present. As we stand here by the fountain of the goddess Roma, it's a fitting reminder of the incredible history we've just walked through today. We make our way back down to the Roman Forum, passing by the portico of the Harmonious Gods, and we're stepping into one of the most iconic areas of ancient Rome. This portico, with its rows of columns, was once a gathering place for philosophers and citizens to discuss ideas and matters of the state, a symbol of Rome's deep intellectual and spiritual legacy. Among the ruins, one of the most significant landmarks here is the Temple of Saturn, a grand structure, which once stood at the southwest end of the Forum, and it was dedicated to Saturn, the god of wealth, agriculture, and liberation. As we link these iconic landmarks together, we begin to understand how the grandeur of the ancient world has shaped the modern Rome we see today. Next week, in Part 5, we'll dive even deeper into the ruins and uncover the final chapters of the Real Rome, completing our exploration of the ancient city and its transformation over centuries.